Hello, folks. Had to make sure I actually got that in today because today our listeners are in for a big treat. As most of you know, we have been doing our 2024 Marriage Book Reading Challenge. And Heather and I have decided that for the 2024 year, we are going to choose one new marriage book every month, read that together, and we're also going to share our insights and then a book review through YouTube and share it with all of our listeners. And so many of you have come on board with us, and you're like, hey, we want to read those books as well. Really, really cool. And so our book for January was 10 Ways to a Stronger Marriage by Trey and Lea Morgan. And we just fell in love with the book. We fell in love with the book, but we also have also fallen in love with Trey and Lea Morgan and their ministry. And so we follow them. They are like mentors to us. And so as we began dialoguing a little bit and talking with them about their book, we were like, we should just get these people on our show and just talk to them about the 10 ways to a stronger marriage. And so we hope that you are going to love this interview as much as we did. Stay tuned. All right, we are so excited today to be joined by Trey and Lea Morgan. So many of our listeners are already familiar with them because we would consider these people to be real mentors in the marriage ministry space. And we haven't met in person, but it's kind of like when you listen to people and you read their materials and you follow them, you just feel like you know them. And we just really have felt that connection with Trey and Lea. And they, we just started chatting right before we got on here and told them that we just really respect and love everything about them. I would put them at the very top of the list of the marriage ministries that we follow and that we kind of model things after.
That's right.
Part of the reason why I think we like y'all so much is because y'all have these great accents like us.
Very similar. We are humbled to hear y'all say all that. That is very humbling, and we appreciate the encouragement that we get from y'all as well.
Yeah, y'all are very, very kind, and we're honored to be on your show today.
Well, thank you guys so much, and we're grateful that you took a few minutes to just come and chat with us and let our listeners know a little bit more about you guys. And so here's the way I want us to get started, because we do follow you, and so we know that y'all have just recently had a pretty big life change. And so we know that you guys have recently taken on a move, and hey, kudos to that, because we do not like to move, and it is a very difficult thing. But if you guys could just kind of tell us about your recent change, and maybe that will kind of you can sort of just tie in who Trey and Lea really are. Tell us just who you are.
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right. Very good. Well, we lived in Childress, Texas, a small rural community, for 21 years before we raised all our kids, and we're perfectly happy there. We were planning on retiring there and just kind of finishing out our time on this earth there. We work full-time with a church in Childress. Lea was a children's minister, and I'm a senior minister for a church, that same church. And back in about March, we've had offers to move lots of times, but we've never been real serious about taking anybody up on any. But we got a call from a church in Lubbock, Texas, where all of our kids not only live, and our grandkids not only live, but they also go to church at that church. And so we told them we would visit with them and at least hear them out when they said, would you consider talking to us about a possible move? And so as time went on, everything just kind of fell into place. We realized this was a really good time in our life, that if we were going to make a move, this probably was a really good time to make one. It would reconnect with our 4 boys and their wives and our grandchildren, again, all of them living right here in Lubbock. And so we took the offer that was presented to us, and we moved on January. We started on January 1st. We moved over Christmas, right after Christmas, and we're still unpacking boxes. we literally moved. I went to work for a week, and we went on a 9-day marriage retreat and marriage cruise. And so we're still trying to get settled in.
Gosh, I bet.
That's awesome. And part of the reason why I even love this part of your story is because, you guys are obviously so involved in marriage ministry. You talk about marriages all the time, but also your children and how big just family in general is such a huge part of y'all's message and your story. And y'all have 4 boys. We only have 2 boys, and we're just a little behind y'all in life. And that's part of why we love just to connecting with y'all and hearing your stories and the things that you're teaching, because we're so close to that same area of life. And when I hear y'all talk about moving back and being with those kids and the grandkids, I'm like, oh, that hits every heartstring of ours. So we feel that, and we're very, that's incredible, and I'm so excited that y'all got a chance.
We really just wanted to be able to be a bigger part of our grandkids' lives. Yeah. They're very, very young, and to, the impressionable stage of where they're at, and just to be a bigger part of their lives, both physically and spiritually and every other way. We just thought we've got to do this to watch our kids, to have a relationship with them more than seeing them once a month type thing.
That's right. I love that. And such a wise decision. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision, but a very wise one. And I love that. So Rusty and I really, really got into marriage ministry because of the trauma that he said that happened 12 years ago. There was an affair and infidelity in our marriage, and that really spurred us into a lot of growth and really digging into try to find out what our marriage, what God had for our marriage. And out of that, the overflow of that has been trying to help other people in their journey with infidelity, or just making a stronger marriage in general. I'm curious if you could tell us how you guys decided to get involved with marriage ministry. And then in that same way, what are some things that you currently offer marriages out there?
Well, I'm going to say this real quick, and I'm going to turn it over to Lee and let her tell you how we got into it. I want to say real quick how much you inspire us in your marriage, that y'all have worked through infidelity to not just stay in a marriage, but to grow in a marriage and come out stronger on the other side, and to the point of helping other people, because there are so many people out there in the world that we talk to today that just go, hey, there was infidelity, we're done. And we're like, man, come out so strong if both of you are willing to work on this. And so I just first want to applaud y'all in your amazing work that I know that y'all had to do to battle back through this, to go, we're going to fight through this, and we're going to make this work, and we're going to come out strong. And so we applaud you for that. And that is wonderful. We do. Now I'll let Lee about how we got into what.
Okay. Thank you for those kind words. We appreciate that.
Yes. So I think it's just evolved. I mean, since we were newlyweds, really, we went to every marriage retreat, every marriage workshop that was near us when we were, young marrieds. We read marriage books. And we, being in full-time ministry, we wanted to do that not only for us, but so that we could share with our church family and teach them. And Trey was asked to do a marriage retreat one weekend. It's probably been 12, 15 years ago. He was asked to do a marriage retreat. And so he put some material together. And then he came home and he said, hey, I really think that we could do this more than just, occasionally. So we worked on the material, and pretty soon another church called, and they wanted us to do something, and it sort of just spread. Honestly, it was a total God thing. You can't call it anything other than that, because we're not set out to we didn't say, hey, we're going to start doing marriage workshops, once a month. It just happened.
And definitely a God thing. We ran through the doors, he opened them,
Yes.
and still, until the Lord closes the doors, we're gonna keep doing it, and we enjoy it. We're currently we do a workshop somewhere in the U.S. every month, a weekend. We could do one every weekend, but to stay in full-time ministry, what we do, we can't do that, and so we just only schedule once a month. We try to do 12, maybe 15 a year, and we're booked up about 3 years out on workshops, and we're headed to the Dallas-Fort Worth area this weekend, and we love doing them. It's just an opportunity on the weekends to come and get away with your spouse and recharge and strengthen your marriage, and that's our main thing that we do. We work through those workshops. We try to get churches to host us, to say, we'll cover your expenses, come in, and then we offer the free for couples, and a free workshop to come better your marriage for a weekend, for you just to pay the expenses to get there, is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And a way to bless your marriage.
Yeah, we love watching and seeing where all you guys go, and one of these days we're just gonna show up and surprise y'all, and we're gonna be like, we're those people. So
Right.
We'd love it.
Yeah,
We would absolutely love it. Unfortunately, we've got nothing in Mississippi, but we do have some close. We've got some Georgia and some other areas out there that we're coming. And
yeah, well, we're gonna have to keep up with the schedule, because we really, I mean, there's been many a times where we've said we need to go and just be a part of that, because we're obviously still learning as well, and trying to grow our marriage, and that's just an important part of it, is to find people like you guys that can challenge us and encourage us in that way. And, you guys have a podcast as well, and we listen to it every time. I know you guys have kind of scaled back a little, and you're doing every couple of weeks, and but we love it. And so we always are trying to push other people towards that. But where we really started, I guess, tying all this together a little bit, is because we decided to challenge ourselves as a married couple to read a marriage book, one marriage book a month during 2024. And so we chose you guys because there was a book that we were really interested in. And as we started kind of getting into it a little bit, we also realized that you guys have multiple books. So I want to give you just a second to tell us about all of the books that you have, and how our listeners can find those, so they can be readers of your stuff.
Very good. So the first one that we wrote is the one that y'all are currently reading, the 10 Ways to a Stronger Marriage. And we had some friends, that said, there's a lot of people that can't go to y'all's marriage workshop. You need to get it in book form. Yeah. And so they kind of twisted our arms for a while before we finally realized, we need to do this. So it's pretty much our workshop material goes probably a little more in depth than what we're able to cover in a workshop. But we got 10 chapters. We've got discussion questions that couples can discuss some things, so that groups can, meet together and do the book together if that's something they choose to do. Churches use it for Bible classes and things like that. So that's our first book. And the second book we did is Wisdom for Your Marriage, which is a 31-day devotional through the book of Proverbs. And you don't have to necessarily do it, every single day. Some people do it once a week. You do whatever fits your schedule, but it takes 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how much time you want to put into it, of course. But you read a chapter of Proverbs a day. There's reflection questions, discussion questions that go along with that one. And I think getting into the Word together is very life-changing as, a married couple. And so Trey can tell you about the last one that we just did.
And the last one was one that I like, because I want to do things very quickly and don't always have time to sit down and read a long book. And we daily marriage challenge to where you've got it's about a 3 to 5 minute read every morning, where you're challenged to do something in your marriage that day. It comes with a scripture and a prayer prompt where you can just kind of go, Lord, this is my challenge to be a better this, or whatever it is. And there's I believe 60 of those that you can go through. And Lee and I did that last year, and we actually probably need to go back through them again. But it's the Daily Marriage Challenge is a fun book. There's a lot of couples that keep that by their nightstand, and they get up in the mornings and read their challenge for the day, and then they talk about it over lunch or something like that.
I love it. Those are such great books and topics, and we actually put all three of them on our Kindle. And then when we decided that we were going to do the 10 Ways to a Stronger Marriage, we actually bought quite a few copies because we've been giving some away too. But we
didn't want to share one.
Yeah, we don't like to share.
I highlight different things than he highlights.
Yes.
Yeah, so we started and we're almost we've tried to spread it out so that we could kind of finish right at the end of the month before we start our next book. And so we're getting kind of towards the end of that. But we're gonna ask just a couple more questions, and these are gonna be maybe specific to this book, since a lot of our listeners are reading the book, and they may require a little bit of thought on your part. But here's the first question. So when I think about writing a book, Heather and I, we're sort of the same way. People twisting our arms all the time, and we've dabbled a little, but we haven't really jumped full in yet. But I can imagine that writing your first book is a little bit like your child, and it has this special place in your heart. And if somebody comes up to us and asks us about our child, there's so many things that we could tell them about. But if somebody tried to make us say, hey, just tell us one thing, like what is your favorite thing about that child? It'd be really hard to do, but I'm going to ask you guys that anyway. We're going to pretend like this book is your child, and I'm going to ask each one of you to tell us what is that one thing. If you just had to pull one thing from the book, what would be the one thing each one of you would pull out?
Yeah.
So for me, my favorite thing about the book is the instant marriage boost that we put in every chapter that, just pull something out of the chapter that you can do, that you can put into practice immediately that will make a positive impact on your marriage. There's simple things, it might be pull out your calendar and schedule a date with your spouse for this week. Just quick, simple little things that you can do. That would probably be the thing that was the first thing that came to my mind anyway.
Yeah. And
just very practical.
And for me, mine after it was written and came out changed a lot, because being a man, I love chapter 6 and Let's Get Naked.
Of course.
I'll be honest. It's chapter 5 that we get all the feedback on. We get so much email and so much feedback on chapter 5, which was Let's Get Naked, but not that way.
Not really. That's right.
It's talking about being naked emotionally in just every way in your marriage. There's no secrets. And we covered some stuff about cell phones and about sex and some stuff that's really kind of, we really go into deep on our workshop on that. And we put some of that in our book. And we just get so much positive feedback on chapter 5, or I do, that I can't help but go, wow, I did not realize the chapter to affect people that way, because we've had churches. We had a church in Oklahoma City, I think, ordered 100 copies and gave out to the couples, and they said they did it all for the purpose of chapter 5.
Wow.
And it was just kind of like, I didn't realize chapter 5 was going to be as big a deal as it was. And so we were thankful that people were blessed by that.
Yeah, and that's one that actually hit home to us too. We made some, kind of funny social media posts talking about how, most guys are going to look at chapter 5 and then go, no, and then you get to 6. But chapter 5 really, we even, which I guess when people listen to this, it's going to be at a different time. But the podcast that we released today in real time was about cell phones, and those boundaries and things, the no secrets, that has such a big place in our marriage and the things that we've had to learn through the years. And so it meant a lot to us too. So and
one of the things about that chapter that I remember is that that so many times I think people look at the boundaries we put in place or the things that we suggest and think, oh, y'all just do that because you've been through such a trauma and now you need extreme boundaries and you need extreme communication and you need extreme all of this. And to see a healthy marriage that you guys have always had, still have these words of wisdom is just so encouraging to me to hear.
That's good.
We appreciate that. We get a lot of feedback and a little pushback sometimes from society that go, hey, y'all's borders in your marriage, y'all's rules are a little strict, aren't they? Mm-hmm. All I can say, they have worked for us for 35 years.
That's right.
And if it's working, man, we ain't messing with it.
Absolutely.
That's right. Well, I said this at the beginning, but you guys are just a little ahead of us in the marriage journey. And part of the reason why, we can listen to lots of different marriage ministries, and there's always things here and there where we're like, yeah, maybe we don't necessarily agree with that, or that's okay. But like the stuff that I think we're drawn to you guys because you really are so much like us, and like the stuff that you teach and the stuff that you believe is just spot on with, even your theology and stuff that's just right there with what we believe. And so we just love that. And there
you go.
We were
think a lot, right?
Yeah, well, I was reading in this one of the more recent chapters is towards the end of the book, and I got to the story about Mr. and Mrs. Ross, the 90-year-old couple that you guys talked about that came to one of your workshops, and it talks about how Mr. Ross had gotten to a point in their marriage where he was having to do everything. Was having to cook, was having to dress his wife, and you guys stopped and asked the question. You said, "Why are you here? You're in your 90s. Why are you at this workshop?" And he said, "I married my best friend. I've been with my best friend for 70 years, and I just thought maybe I could come and learn something new that would help me as I served her today." And man, what a story. and that's, obviously every marriage is like, yes, we want that when we're in our 90s. And
yes.
So the last thing that I kind of want to ask you guys is this, you are seasoned marriage veterans. You've raised wonderful 4 boys and wonderful family, and you're still going strong and doing marriage ministry, and your marriage is strong, your family's strong. And so as the seasoned marriage veterans, what would be, if each one of you had to say one thing to a younger generation about marriage, what would it be?
Gosh, you really should have given them these questions before we started.
Hey, they're good. I knew they could handle it.
But I was like, wow.
No, that's great. I think I would tell any young couple that what's going to happen is they've been very intentional up to this point at falling in love and getting married. And what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself not being as intentional in marriage, and you can't do that. You can't stop dating, and you can't stop flirting, and you can't stop holding hands. And when you have children, you can't stop being husband and wife. I would tell any young couple that I know you may not believe this right now, but there's going to come a time where you're just kind of coasting and you're not putting in a lot of effort, and you're just kind of wondering what's the minimum I have to do to keep this marriage working. And that's not how you do marriage. Mm-hmm. You have got to be and put out some effort.
Yeah.
That's good.
I agree. I preach intentionality every workshop that we do. I would take that one step further and say, when you kind of get to that point and you're coasting and you kind of hit a rough patch, don't give up. Mm. We live in a disposable society. We talk about that in the book, and we feel, sometimes easier to start over, when we get to that point, and it's not. I mean, and y'all are living proof of that. It's worth fighting for. It can be better than ever. You don't give up.
And we're proof of that, because we've weathered the storms and we're enjoying the better. You know, we went through the worst and we're enjoying better right now. And so you can't, if we would have given up in all the hard spots, we wouldn't be enjoying an amazing 35 years of marriage right now.
That's right.
That's so good. You guys we love y'all, and everything that you guys are doing to encourage and strengthen marriages is just so important and so valuable. And if any of our listeners just need to know how to find your workshop schedule and how to get in touch with you guys, that sort of thing, what is the best way for them to do that?
So it's super easy. All they need to do is go to trailblazers.com. So that's spelled just like our names, TREYANDLEA, trailblazers.com. That will take you to our landing page that has our workshop schedule. It has links to our books. It has a link to our podcast. It like literally everything is right there.
Yeah, it'll tell you where to find us on social media. It will tell you what to expect if you come to one of our workshops. And so, yeah, trailblazers.com is where it's at.
Perfect. Well, we're going to continue pushing as many marriages as we can towards you guys, because you guys have been such a blessing to us, and we want that for other marriages as well. So thank you guys so much for just taking some time today and sharing with us, and thank you for blessing us with your books and your other resources. We love it, and we're so glad that so many of our listeners jumped on board and started reading the book along with us. I think it's been a great month in the month of January to kick off the year that way. So thank y'all for what you've done and for living out your calling and what God's wanted you to do with marriages. So
we appreciate that. Yeah. Honored to be on your show today, and look forward to having y'all on our podcast at some point. We would love
absolutely.
that.
Awesome. That would be great. Hey, and for those of you that are listening today, we're going to sign off until next time. Thank you so much for listening.